Hey everyone. So, one thing that I want you to be extra sure of is that everything in the world is created and inspired by God, and that means everything is connected. And so, that means that sometimes we're going to be talking about more serious and heady topics like this past week with ideology, and sometimes we're gonna look at some fun things and see what we can pull out of that. And so today, what we're going to be talking about is one of my favorite songs, which is Hail to the King by Avenged Sevenfold. Now, the reason this is one of my favorite songs is because what I like is when a song has multiple meanings and multiple interpretations. And so, that's what we're going to be talking about here. And what I love about this song is there's a duality throughout the song where one side says, hey, look at the tyranny that the king is bringing. Look how they crush and suppress and control their people. And the other side says, yes, but look at the safety and security and prosperity that they're bringing. Maybe it's worth it. And so a lot of these lines in there have that dual meaning, and that's what I really like about this. Is when a song has depth, that's my jam. That's my favorite. And so let's go into it. So, verse 1.
Watch your tongue or have it cut from your head. Save your life by keeping whispers unsaid. Children roam the streets, now orphans of war. Bodies hanging in the streets to adore. Royal flames will cover path in chaos, bringing daylight to the night. Death is riding into town with armor. They come to take all your rights.
And so here, in this verse, we're hearing, watch your tongue or have it cut from your head, right? Brutal, visceral, terrible, orphans of war, there's so many bad things in here. That royal flames will carve the path in chaos. And this is an important line because it comes back mirrored in the opposite sense. Death is riding into your town with armor. They come to take all of your rights. So this is that first side, the oppressive side, the destructive side, where it ruins all that you have. It will take everything from you. And you remember earlier in this week, we were talking about different ideologies. We were talking about how fears push you to do exactly the thing that you're afraid of. And that's what's happening here, is someone is watching all of this and is terrified, afraid. Look at all of this evil, all of this terror, all of this bad stuff happening. This is not merely tyranny. This is like bloodshed and the most horrific kind of existence you can think of. But now listen to the chorus.
Hail to the King, hail to the world, kneel to the crown, stand in the sun. Hail to the King.
And so the chorus says, "Hail to the King." Because even though in verse 1 we heard this awful, terrible existence that the people were living, that doesn't matter. That the guy's still king. The guy's still in charge. So you hail to the King. Because that's what you have to do. And hail to the One. And this goes to show why things are so terrible. Because it's not, oh, the country. Let's make sure that everyone's successful. Let's make sure that everyone is brought up and increased and improved and all that stuff. No. It's just one that matters. Just the King and no one else. Then, this next line is just beautiful. Kneel to the crown, stand in the sun. Now, you can take that two different ways. This is a cause and effect type statement. That if you kneel to the crown, then you stand in the sun. Now, that could mean one of two things. Either you kneel to the crown and then things are amazing. It's like you're standing in the sun and basking in the King's radiance. That they are giving your life meaning and giving you purpose and creating such wonderful world for you. Or it could mean that if you want to stay out of a dungeon, if you want to ever see the sun again, then you better kneel to the King. And that is the type of duality I'm talking about here. And this goes to the mindset of these ideologies. That one person sees the fear and the terror, and they are so afraid of something bad happening that they will give up everything to avoid it. Whereas others who don't share that fear, who don't share that concern, the cure is much worse than the disease. That we just heard verse 1 where they're cutting off tongues, they're silencing people and killing them if they step out of line, that they are destroying everything and everyone. And yet, they're bringing daylight to the night. The radiance, the power, the wonder of what they're doing, that's why it keeps going on. It's because enough people are so afraid of the alternative, whatever that may be, that they are willing to let this go on. They are willing to let this happen. All right. Now, verse 2.
Blood is spilled while holding keys to the throne. Born again, but it's too late to atone. No mercy from the edge of the blade. Dare escape and learn the price to be paid. Let the water flow with shades of red now. Arrows black out all the light. Death is riding into town with armor. They come to grant you your rights.
So, blood is spilled while holding keys to the throne. So now, obviously, there's a narrative arc to this song, this story. That first verse, there's an oppressive king, everyone hates him, and then, hey, his son or cousin or whatever says, hey, I'm going to fix all this. And so how does he fix it? What is the solution to this tyranny, this death, this abuse of the people? What is the solution? To kill and to murder and to cause more turmoil. That's the solution. And so, that next line, born again, but it's too late to atone. In other words, I'm a good guy. I'm a Christian, yeah. But, like the whole stopping murdering people, I'm not going to do that part. Oh, the whole, love your neighbor, that's just not my vibe. Like, that's what this guy's saying. Is that I want to be king, and so I am going to murder and pillage and destroy just as much as the previous king. But it's okay because I'm a nice guy. I'm a Christian, don't you know? Don't you want me? And that's another thing, is that people love the one in power to be like them, so they can relate to them, so that they can feel comfortable and safe knowing that, oh, well, they're just like me. And so they're going to take care of me because I'm like them. But it's obvious from this verse, this new king, he's not any better than the old king. He's going across the countryside, killing, murdering, destroying. But he calls himself Christian. And so it's okay. Who buys that? You are the product of your actions, not your words. Actions speak louder than words. And what he's telling everyone is, I will kill anyone who gets in my way, but it's okay, I'm a Christian. And so, all that means is the people he's going to kill will be different. Different people, different deaths. And that is what is so visceral about this song. And you see, this is why I started the week with monarchy. It's because everyone agrees monarchy's bad. But the same things that are wrong with monarchy are wrong with all these other systems. That when you say, I get to enforce justice, I get to define justice, that's when tyranny happens. That's when the most horrible things you can think of happen. Is when you call the shots. Even if you're a good guy, born again. And so now, what's next? No mercy from the edge of the blade. Just staying to that theme. And let the water flow with shades of red now. Brutal murder, death across the land. But death is riding into town with armor. They come to grant you your rights. And you see, that's what this is all about. It's framing. This new guy is no better than the previous one. Maybe marginally. Maybe he kills other people, not you. That's an improvement. But not for those other people. And that's what this is about. No one can grant you rights. Do you know what people mean when they say they will grant you your rights or ensure your rights? What they mean is, well, my original plan was just to oppress you completely. But now I'm second guessing myself. Maybe instead of like killing you if you displease me or, kicking you out of the country if I don't like what you're saying, or imprisoning you forever just because we disagree, instead of doing that, you know what? I guess I can consider you as a person. I can pretend at least You're not a person, because that's why I was going to do the first thing. But, you know, I can pretend. I can give it a shot, yeah? That's what this is saying. It's not saying, oh, you have rights that only I can give you, because that's not a thing that exists. You can't give anyone rights. If you can, then it's not a right. By definition. It's a right because you're born with it. It's inherent to who you are as a human being. So what he's saying is not, I'm going to grant you your rights, but I'm going to pretend that you lowly scum are worth a damn. That's what's being said here. And that goes to show how the ruling class think of everyone. And this is true of every ideology. It's definitely true of the fascists, right? Where they say the government is everything and everything is the government. So the one in charge says, no, you are just a cog in the machine, you don't matter. And then with socialism, the one that's supposed to be bringing about communism and love and acceptance and community, nah, not so much. You know how they think? They say, all right, let's have a system in place, and these are all people who are working towards our societal goal. And so, if one of them gets in the way, off they go. That if someone is a nuisance, if someone just stops the flow of things happening, they're gone. That's socialism. You get the gulag, right? But that's how it is. This is why in more socialized countries, where they have socialized medicine, right? Those are also the same countries that believe it's okay to euthanize the old and abort the young. Because they say, well, you've lost your rights because you are now inconvenient. Because they never had rights. You never had rights in their eyes. No. You had rights so long as it was convenient to them. And that's what this is saying. Is that they've come to grant you your rights. You can't grant rights. But you can pretend people are actually people when you don't believe that. And then what was the foundation of liberalism? The Founding Fathers is a great example. They didn't let people vote. The idea that our country is a democracy is just a lie. It's not a democracy, it's a republic. Because some people's opinions are more important than others. People talk about how, women haven't been able to vote for that long, right? Well, men were only able to vote like 50-something years earlier. Because before that, you not only had to be a man, you had to be a white, land-owning man. So, now, everyone gets to vote. You just need to be a citizen and, old enough. And I guess not a felon, right? Which, it goes to show that as soon as you disagree, you don't matter anymore. So, once you become a felon, then they can just crush you again, right? Because that's what verse 2 is all about. It's about crushing the baddies, the bad guys. We're good because we're destroying the bad guys. We're destroying evil. So we just have rivers of blood flowing through the countryside. Just Just the arrows black out all of the light. That in the first verse, everything was terrible, but the daylight was in the night, and it was good and beautiful, and people felt okay with it. But now everything's great. Everyone has rights. Everything has a wonderful time, and you can tell that because all of the light is gone because of a hail of arrows coming to kill people. That's how you know things are better. Murder's never good. Even if it's the baddies, right? Even if it's the bad guys that are dying. It's never a good thing. All right. Now, we get another chorus, get a sweet guitar solo, and then here's the bridge.
There's a taste of fear when the henchmen call. Iron fist to tame the lamb. Iron fist to claim it all.
There's a taste of fear when the henchmen call. Iron fist to tame them, iron fist to claim them all. And that's the name of the game. Is when an ideology says what you think is right is what should happen. No matter who you are, no matter what you believe, you are forcing people into this. You are crushing them, destroying their will, and making them into your puppets, into your slaves. There is no good in that. But that's why I love this song so much. It shows this truth that's across all ideologies, that people are afraid and are willing to do almost anything to protect themselves from their fear. And the cure is sometimes worse than the disease. That oftentimes, when someone is going around the countryside, chopping off people's tongues and hanging themselves up, hanging people up for everyone to see, just merciless murder, you know what the solution is? You know what people come up with to solve that problem? Rivers of blood. That's the solution. And that's why I think different. And that's why distributism, what I believe, is not something that you force someone into. It is something they choose for themselves. Because if they don't choose it, then you're not respecting them as a person. You're treating them as an object. And that's what this song is all about. Is that the king sits on high, is at another level of existence where they matter and you don't. Hail to the king, hail to the one that actually matters. Because none of you do. Kneel to the crown, stand in the sun, right? That if you kneel to the one, that you get to exist. That's your prize. You get to see sunlight again. That's your reward. And that is how reality is. That's how people act. That's how things go. But you can see why I like this song. It's got this double meaning throughout. The people that see government as their salvation, as their savior, They put it high above everything else. But there's the other side of what the government actually does to make it happen. They silence people. They take away their rights. They don't respect them. Because there's only one thing that matters, and that's the government. That deep down inside, we're all a little bit fascist. Deep down inside, we all believe that the government is everything. It's just that what we also believe is maybe it'll be different if we were the ones in charge. Maybe if we were the ones telling who should live and who should die. Maybe then it would be better. Maybe if we were the ones who crushed people to grant them their rights. To grant them their rights with a hailstorm of arrows and rivers of blood. To grant them their rights. Maybe then it would be okay. Maybe then the world would be a better place. But it never is. Precisely because they are not you. The people you see walk around every day are not you. And so the answer is not, hail to the king, hail to the one. The answer is everyone should have a say in their own life. That is what's fair.